Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's coverage of the Touring Kart Challenge League. This evening, we're excited to bring you coverage from all the action of iRacing's virtual Daytona International Speedway in Daytona, Florida. Maconi Entertainment is here to bring you action from all types of racing, including the weekly Fast Friday series. No matter what you are racing, we can bring the action to life. Brought to you by Maconi Entertainment. My name is Alexander Balderas, and joining me in the booth is Nick Steen. The DJ Lion working the cameras and controls is our producer. So, Nick, we're going to see a lot of side-by-side action here at Daytona. We're going to see multiple different lanes, and we're going to see pushing now being available in the trucks and the Xfinity cars as well. What do you think is going to happen in tonight's race?
Well, I really do think we're going to see a lot of aggressive pushing here tonight. It is a plate track, and you got to keep the momentum up. That is going to be the most paramount thing, is keeping that momentum up. Whatever line has the more momentum is going to be the fastest line, and it's all going to be coming down to who can push the most aggressively and who is able to hold those pushes as aggressively as possible. I think that's going to be the turning point of tonight's race.
I think you're absolutely right. Let's take a look at the season schedule here. October 16th, tonight, the season opener at Daytona. Then, next Monday night at Rockingham. Then an off week after that, Las Vegas, Auto Club, and North Wilkesboro for the first 5 races of the season. Then December 4th is Darlington, followed by Bristol, Milwaukee, and a second off week. Then to be decided for January 1st, and January 8th is Charlotte. So, taking a look at the track information from tonight, the track located in Daytona Beach, Florida, Daytona International Speedway, is home to the season opener of the NASCAR Cup Series and holds the season opener for the Touring Kart Challenge League. Opened in 1959 with turns banked of 31 degrees and a 2.5-mile track, this is one of the biggest super speedways we have on our schedule and going to be one of the most action-packed races of the season. Now, Nick, with this being a plate track, what are your keys to come home successful here in Florida?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, you got to survive the big one. That's going to be the biggest key tonight. Is it's not if, it's when the big one happens. It will happen tonight. It's just a matter of when and how you are able to avoid that. Secondly, you got to get on pit road cleanly. You got to get off pit road cleanly. And you got to find your friends early as well. Find your friends, find your teammates, find whatever help you can to help you survive tonight. It's also going to be just a game of survival, a race of attrition. As long as you can survive, find your friends, get on and off pit road, you will be 100% good to go for the finish of this race.
Now, it's after we do a little bit of fixing around, I'm going to take a look at the qualifying grid here in a moment, but I think you're absolutely right. Getting with someone that you know you can work well with is key to coming home in victory lane at these plate tracks. Being able to push and hold a push is key. All of these guys looking to do so here tonight in Florida. As we get ready to look at the National Series starting grid, it's Indy Cassie on pole with Jake Innes in second position. Then Pierre Croin in the 0-2 in third, Matt Haas in fourth, Justin Noel and John Bawalda in sixth. Looking on through this grid, we're going in, jumping in right to the race. Right now, as they head down the back straightaway, looks to me like these guys already starting to spread out. Bit of an interesting start from all these guys behind, but they're not letting off it here at the front.
Yeah, looking like we're separating into 2 distinct packs right here. It looks like people are trying to calm down a little bit. It is 120 laps, but you got to stay with the lead pack if you want a chance at keeping up with the draft. And right now, we're looking like the top line is going to be the preferred line for the moment, as you're looking at 5 cars on the top line. But that inside line's coming with a little bit of help here. And like I said, this is just going to be a game of momentum all night. Who's going to have the higher drive to push, and who's going to, kind of control the lines here.
And, a lot of these guys deciding early on to be a little careful and very conservative, but will that pay off in the end? Already going on to lap number 2 out of 120, and here comes the outside line. The 25 makes a charge, and he's going to have help from behind him as these guys are still squirrely and moving around all the way. These guys are going to try and make a move here on the top, but it doesn't look like it's going to work. That bottom line just seems more formed up, and looks like he's got a better partner pushing him. But it's going to be a close battle. Give it to the 72 coming to the line to start lap number 3.
Yeah, what we're seeing on that outside line is the 8 car. That is Matt Haas. He's trying to get separated from the car on the top line. That's the 25 machine. He's trying to get separated before they get in the corners, because with this Xfinity car and the way the package works, you're not really able to push in the corners like you can with, say, the next gen car. When you push in the corners, the car in front will get really, really squirrely and get really loose, and that could lead to a big wreck. So that's what we're seeing with that outside line. They're getting broken up a little bit because the 8 car is just trying to get off the 25 before they get to the corner.
Yeah, and I know it's one thing to be scared about pushing in the corner, but if you can master it, that's going to be the key to getting a run at any time you want. Because pushing on the straightaway, well, not the easiest thing in the world. It sure is a lot easier than pushing in the corner. But if you can master it, it's a skill that you're going to crucially want to have to win plate races. Here comes the 25 with a run on the top side. Was clear of the 72. And still is, but it's going to be a close if he wants to come down to the bottom lane. But right now it looks like he's good with working with the 8 car on top. Now it looks like that second pack has gone single file, now trying to catch back up with the lead pack. I'm assuming that someone didn't have a very good start and going to avoid. And then here comes the 8. He's going to drop out of line, not working with the 25 anymore, and he's going to go to the lead.
That's one of the most comfortable places here in the pack at Daytona, is being up in the lead, and that 8 wants it early. Having that clean air, knowing that you don't have anything to worry about in front of you, is a big time want of a lot of drivers here. And well, while it may be a good thing, you're also going to be burning a lot more fuel as the leader. And it's a game of chess at 200 miles an hour is what I like to call the plate racing here at Daytona. So we'll have to see who can play that game of chess as quickly as possible.
Out front right now, the 25 and the 19 get hooked up and they're away. And one thing I didn't think that we talked about is engine and oil temperature. These guys, when pushing for so long, it restricts the air being led to cool the motor. So when you're pushing for about a lap and a half, that's going to be the point where you really need to start looking at your temps to see if you're overheating. Now, what my thinking is that the 8 realized he was overheating, saw an opportunity, and took it. And he was able to get in the clean air, and that's crucial to have temps enough to push the guy in front of you. But right now, all this stuff going on. Let's take a look at a race analysis. Race length of 120 laps or 300 miles. Pit road speed 55 miles an hour. Tire sets available, 4 sets and the ones on the car. 3 green, white, checkered attempts. Let's hope we don't use them all. And we've got 2 fast repairs and a fixed set. Lap 6 out of 120 as we head into turn number 3, and these guys already, now the Xfinity car out of most of these is a little more floaty compared to the truck and the next gen, the 2 other cars that are in the main series. This car is quite special, because with this you really kind of have to worry about which direction you're turning with the weight. It can lean on the left and right side, and it could pull you out of line at a crucial moment. So you have to be careful with how you control this car, and that's something I think is key to winning this race.
Yeah, that's going to be another big key. Is just that's what I was talking about earlier with the keeping up the momentum. With how floaty this car can be, if you can keep the momentum of your lineup, that's going to allow you to not to be able to clear whatever line that you're not in, basically. So right now we're seeing the inside line is the faster line, and that's because they're able to stay connected more, and they're able to keep the momentum up and keep the car from really floating off the corner. That's where we see a lot of wrecks happen with the Xfinity cars, just coming off the corner. Some guys are getting a little bit loose, and they're trying to get connected and get pushing, and it just results in a wreck. But for right now, we're seeing that inside line is just really powerful right now.
They've been hooked together almost the rest of this 4-lap run that we've had since the last time we checked on them. But these guys seeming to just want to go to the bottom, log some laps. It's a long race, but if that outside line wants to get working again, they're going to need a good pusher, and they're going to need help behind them. This second pack, though, has caught up with the lead pack once again. So if enough help does go to the top, we could see another move here to try and take the lead away.
That's one thing I'm a little bit surprised about, is normally at plate tracks, the outside line is the preferred line because you can get the better run off the corner. It's just we're not really seeing that outside line get formed up. Right now we're looking at only 4 or 5 cars, and they're just not really getting together. They're not getting together, and they're not staying formed up. So that's why we're not really seeing this outside line being as competitive as they would like. But if they get formed up and they get pushing and get pushing consistently, they will catch up very quickly with the lead pack.
And I think that's a good point to mention. One more thing I'd like to note is apologies to the viewers at home for a little bit of a chaotic start. A miscommunication between us and the race directors led us to kind of jump into this one. But what could say about the action we're seeing right now is these guys already off to a chaotic start as well. And the 15 gets on the apron. And that's one thing that you got to be careful of. You want to paint the double yellow line, but you dip a little too far below it, and you could almost get high centered as a move. Tried to make a good move there at the front of the field that doesn't look like it's going to work for the 15 as he taps the apron just a little bit. And you saw how sideways he got. So that's a note for these guys to take home and learn that you can push as far as you want to the double yellow line, push too close, and you could almost go for a spin as we saw on the 15.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of loose race cars already, and that's just something with the Xfinity car. We were talking about it a few laps ago. These guys are getting very, very loose. I didn't think it would be to this level of looseness that these guys are experiencing, but look for some pit stop adjustments here because a lot of these guys, I can already tell, do not like the way their cars are handling.
Well, that's one thing at the plate tracks that the Xfinity car is always loose. I've never driven a tight Xfinity car at a super speedway, nor that I'd ever think I'd want to. But these guys trying to go 3 wide. The 85 looking to make a move. He wants the middle and he wants to make a move. Fastest lap goes to Kevin Aguilar with a 190 mile per hour fastest overall average lap. Now these guys, it's interesting. Just a few laps ago, we were talking how the bottom was the dominant lane, and I said how if they got enough help on the top, it could really overpower the bottom. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. That top has formed up, has almost double the help the bottom does, and they're all close together. That's one thing you'll notice. The closer they are together, the faster and stronger the line is.
Yeah, that's another thing we're seeing. We're seeing this top line. They're kind of running that seam. That is the preferred line. And while I did say the outside is preferred, being right on that seam is, oh man, that 14 is getting loose again off of turn 4. But the preferred line is going to be right on that seam. And that seems to be where the 19 is sticking, and the 25 pushing behind him is going to want to stick right there as well. And that's what's going to keep this outside line going, is we're just seeing a lot of jockeying here, just looking for position, looking for track position as a 5 car. Looks like he's going to try to sit it 3 wide here a little bit further back.
3 wide on lap 12 out of 120. One person below the double yellow line, still below. He's going to have to find a safe time to remerge the 5. Look how Manger tries to make a move 3 wide, and it does work, but he's going to the less dominant lane. But here's one thing you could do to try and overthrow that powerful topside lane. That lane being one of the most powerful you could ever see if you have the right people up front. And that's crucial about getting that top lane to work. If you don't have a person who's willing to push you all throughout the racetrack on the top, it's not going to be as strong as we've been seeing. But right now, that bottom lane trying to get some more help. And as of right now, it's the strongest it's ever been out of this last 10 laps we've seen. So this bottom lane trying to get regrouped and reformed. Lap 13 out of 120. A little early to start thinking about it, but Nick, how are we doing on fuel?
Well, I believe they have full fuel tanks here, so we're looking at about 30-ish laps on fuel. So getting closer to about halfway through this fuel stint. I gotta take a look at the fuel restrictions. I don't know what they are for this league right now, but once I do, I'll start doing some math and seeing when these guys are gonna pit.
This 14 has been trying to wrangle his race car all the way around the track, and that top lane may not be what's best for him. He's tapped the wall just a few times. Doesn't look like he has any damage. That's Phillip in the 14. He's been really wrangling this car around. And like I was mentioning earlier, it's really tough because this car isn't as agile as all the other cars. The truck and the next gen, you could just point it at a plate track and it goes wherever you want it to go. You really have to listen to the Xfinity car and you have to listen to what it's telling you, and you have to drive it off of that. If it's starting to drift up in the corner, whether you want to or not, you have to respond and change your driving style based on that. If you try and make an aggressive move in this thing, be ready for it to carry that momentum horizontal. It's going to carry you all the way left, or it's going to carry you all the way right, depending on how aggressive you make the move. And as a driver, you have to understand that when it does that, you have to be ready.
Yeah, this is exactly why the Xfinity car is quickly becoming one of my favorite cars to drive on the iRacing Sim. It's a driver's car. As you mentioned, you have to drive the car the way the car wants to be driven. And if you can figure out how to get the car to drive that way, you will be really, really quick. And we're already seeing that a lot. We're seeing a couple people getting really loose, not really being able to quote unquote control the car, but that's just because they haven't figured out how to drive the car per se. And that's gonna be something we're going to be watching all night. It's just these guys figuring out how to control their cars throughout the night. And as we get closer and closer to going into the night, we'll see the handling of these cars drastically improve.
Starting off with looser conditions, going on to lap 16 out of 120, just over halfway in this fuel run. We were mentioning earlier that in about 10 laps, these guys are going to start wondering, when is the time to pit? So far, we've seen people get squirrely, but no real chance at a wreck yet. The closest one we saw to a wreck was the 15, and he's just about 5 spots behind the inside leader as the rest of the pack behind him tries to go to the bottom, and they're going to line up now. But still, again, that most dominant lane still on the top. That 19 to 25, they've been together almost this whole race. And as I was saying that, here comes the bottom. The 5 looks to make a move to take the lead away up to that 25, and he is not pushing him as strong as we've got cars fanning out all over the place. Let's figure right on board with the 25 and see what it's like from his perspective.
We're going to be seeing a lot of bumping here going down the straightaway. Jake Ennis here going to be pushing everything for its worth off that 19 car. And in the corners, we're going to see the 25 back off a little bit. He's still going to be in that air bubble, so he's still giving air pushes to the 19. And as soon as we get back on the straight, he's going to break that air bubble and get right back on the rear end and just watch this outside line go here. They're just going to leave that inside line for dust. But one thing I've been noticing is this 19 in the corners, when he doesn't have anyone pushing, he's been coming down to side draft that 5, side draft that inside line. Side drafting here is one of the most powerful tactics to keep momentum up for your line, and we're going to be seeing it a lot as this race progresses.
You're absolutely right about that. One thing you can make almost a single car work on the outside as long as you can side draft strong. If you can do that, you can make up some spots, slow down that inside lane, because that's one thing nobody mentions about it. Not only are you gaining speed, but you're slowing down the inside lane, which is faster, to get to the speed that you're currently going. And that is a strong, strong key that these guys need to be able to learn and master by the end of tonight's race if they want to have a chance of going to victory lane. And that's exactly what that 19 and this 25 have been doing to work together. When they don't have help and when they're not pushing, you can see him right now. He's actually going down, trying to side draft and slow down the charge of that inside lane. The 14 on the apron getting squirrely, and he gets squirrely again and comes up the track. No yellow, we stay green, but the field has broken up massively. All of these guys, oh, and there is a spin. The 14 is spun around, and right now, still no yellow. Stuck on the racetrack, and he toes to pit lane. Jumping back up to the lead pack. Interesting issue, but now the 5 is leading that outside lane with the 19 in tow. That inside line just having 2 cars. This is the most spread up pack I've ever seen, and one thing is that these guys got to know is if they want to catch that lead pack, they're going to have to all get lined up together.
Yeah, it's one of the hardest things to do at a plate race, especially in the Xfinity car, is get lined up and catch a lead pack, especially one as organized as this lead pack of, what is this, about 7 cars here. And it's one of the hardest things to do. It's a lot easier to do it in the Cup car and the truck, but in the Xfinity car, it's just one of the hardest things to do is get lined up and be able to catch a pack like this. We'll have to see if they can get formed up and get caught back up, but chances are slim, especially if you lose the wrap.
That's one point that no one really talks about is teamwork in the second pack to try and catch up to the lead pack. All these guys are going to have to work together really, really hard as if they want to make this top 5 group here again. And what I'd like to say is that 18 is pushing at 72, and the entire top lane ditches the 5, and he's going to slide back through the field. I was saying that the 18 was pushing at 72 really, really good, and it turns out so did the rest of the field in this top 5 pack. Going to take an instant replay and look to see what happened. Here's the 77. He gets on the apron, gets a bit high-centered, locks it down. Doesn't spin all the way. That's Life Madsen there in the 77. And he'll still be rolling lap 21 out of 120. As we come back live, there he is down on pit road after his half spin. Off goes pit road is the 14. He towed his way back to pit lane. An interesting strategy. He was just off the entrance, and now we have a shuffle for the lead. The 18 goes to the lead in tow with the 19. 72 shuffled out of line back with the 5.
Yeah, if these guys lose this draft, that is game over for them for this fuel run. They have to get back up. They're losing just a little bit, but that's because the 5 cars in front of them are so formed up. But once you get a hold of that draft, it is really hard not to catch back up. And we're going to see that is the 72 taking that run, and the 5 is going to go with him here. It doesn't look like it's going to get very far here, and that's just one of the bad things about plate racing is you can get a huge run going and not go anywhere with it, and that's just because once you dip out of this draft, you're going to hit a wall of air. It's like hitting a brick wall, as some drivers have described it.
Yeah, and that's going to be really tough for these guys to just try and make these runs whenever there is almost no help. It can be done, but you have to have the right people with you. Now, that inside lane, we talked about how earlier that outside lane really got strong, but that was because it had so many cars and so many people being able to be in line, tandem, and push. And now that top side lane having about 3 cars now, nothing to be able to top that inside lane. And as it stands right now, the gaps between all the cars, that second pack really tight and close together. They're going to try and make their way up to the main pack once again. They did it one time before, but it's so spread out now that I don't know if they're going to get a chance to do it again. One thing that they could start to be doing now, as we're going to come to lap 24 here soon enough, is they're going to wonder, when is the perfect time to pit? You have about 30 laps of fuel, and we're on lap 24, so about 6 laps until about the optimal pit window. About 4 more till it really opens, and the 18 gets shoved onto the apron as they're riding on board with the 5, and the 18, after a bad push, goes through the pit exit, and still no caution as he's destroyed. The 18 not able to save it, and he has a junked race car because of it.
Yeah, that's going to allow the second pack to catch back up here. That is, as you said, one less car in this lead pack, and now they're almost out of sorts here. So unfortunate for that 18 car.
So, again, would like to mention 2 fast repairs for these guys to be able to repair their cars instantly. So that's going to be a fast repair for the 18. But with such a small pack, I'm surprised the caution hasn't come out yet. And he's still going around the track. If I was in his position, I would go down and take my fast repair. That's Stephen Hawthorne in the 18, currently sitting 14th. He's trying to make his way around the racetrack, and looks like he's severely down on RPM. Here comes the lead pack, getting ready to lap him as he's on the apron. Wow, you can just see the speed difference of how slow he is compared to these guys. But this second line has actually tried to reform, and I think actually it has a good chance to fight for the lead.
Yeah, 2-car momentum here. It's kind of like the 2-car tandeming from the 2010-2011 era, if you remember that. And it almost works in the Xfinity car with the current package that we have, but it's not as good as, say, like a 3 or 4 car pack like we have on the bottom. You can make it work with the tandem, but it's very, very, very difficult to do, and it's not, like I said, not easy to master, but the 5 and the 72 seem to be doing pretty good with it.
Lap 26 out of 120, and now these guys are really going to have to start thinking, when is the right time to come down pit road? Oh, and the 25 gets squirrely on the apron, so clearly trying to really push that 19 ahead, and you can see just how hard he's pushing him.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that pit window, because I really haven't heard much over the driver's chat radio. What to see, I'm thinking it's between 30 and 40, now looking at the numbers a little bit more, but definitely getting a little bit closer, as we're pulling up on lap 30 pretty quickly here.
These guys are pushing as hard as ever. Lap car on the apron goes by. that outside lane has been working to get up and be the dominant lane once again, but they just don't have the help they need. That 5 is really pushing that 72, but since there's no other help on that high side lane, 2 cars to 4 cars doesn't mix. These guys are going to have to push all throughout the bumper to try and get him to the lead, but it doesn't look like they can do that.
Yeah, it's just like I said, it's a game of momentum, and I'm more surprised that this outside line is holding on as well as they are, because that 5, he's pushing, but he's not pushing all the way down the straight. He's kind of bumping. He's not what you want to be doing on iRacing, which is kind of locked on and just pushing down the straightaway. And the more they're not locked on, the further back they're going to fall, and that's kind of what we're seeing here. Is the 72 is not going to fall back to the second car on the inside.
So checking in on the second pack here, it looks like the same scenario almost. That inside line just having more help and not being able to. Surprising that these guys haven't decided that the best course of action for them is to try and form up as one line and do their best to catch the leaders, as they're really racing for position here. They've got 4 on the inside, 3 on the outside, trying to get it to work. Now, I've heard in some cars that a double wide pack is actually faster than a single line, but I don't think that's the case here.
It's very, very, very situational, but yes, with the Xfinity car, if you're a double wide pack, you could, in theory, be faster than a single line, but it's really only seen with the Xfinity car, and as I said, it is very, very situational on whether a double wide pack can be faster. But for right now, these guys seem to be holding even, fairly evenly.
Now, that's one thing to mention, is that these guys really need to tighten it up together if they want a chance to try and catch the leaders, as a lot of moving around really kind of slows you down. Being very smooth with your inputs and really knowing what you're going to do next, it's crucial to try and get to the front of this field. This second pack has more cars than the front pack, so if they really start to work together, they have a good chance of trying to catch the leaders. Right now, looking at the gap to the leader, doesn't look like that's happening, as that lead pack is really focused on pushing each other, and these guys are kind of just riding around. So if they want to have a chance at catching the leaders, they're going to have to get focused up and see if they can get all as one and try and push everybody to the lead pack.
Yeah, this is going to help, though, as the lead pack is kind of broken up a little bit. Looks like an almost spin between the lead pack, and that's going to break them up a little bit and ruin some of that momentum, as they're going to try to single file out up here, but they're wrecking at the top of 1.
14 goes around again, and the caution comes out for the first time here tonight. 31 out of 120. The 14 involved in a second incident finds himself with more damage as the rest of the field goes by. Let's take a quick look to see what happened, as we were in the middle of telling you what's going to happen later in the race. We're going to take an instant replay and look to see what happened. The 0-2 in the wall, the 14 tries to go back up, 25 is there and not clear, and that's mistakes happen in the heat of the moment, but how preventable do you think that was, Nick?
That was just a kind of a chain reaction thing. I don't really think, well, that could have been prevented by just not having that huge checkup there, but it's one of those racing deals. You kind of check up, and it kind of causes an accordion effect for that 14. Unfortunately for that 14, it's just another thing in a quite honestly bad race for that 14 machine. We've seen him sideways twice already, so we'll have to see if he can bring it back, but he's 3 laps down now.
So multiple laps down is the 14 on lap 32. Going to find himself to go down pit road once it opens up. The 18 also involved in an incident earlier. I believe he took his fast repair and is back out on track. But right now, as it still stands, we still have our first 2 cars, as I believe were the first 2 people to start us tonight, the 72 and the 5. These 2 have been working together these last 10 laps to try and get up. But now, a fourth of the way through this race, and fuel now comes into the question. Lap 32. Nick, what do you think the strategy is on fuel?
I think here they're going to come down pit road, go ahead and fill it up with fuel. I'd be interested to see what tire strategy. I would assume they're going to take right sides here. They may not. I'm not 100% sure what the tire strategy would be at a plate track through the Xfinity car, but that would be my guess for right now, and that would be personally what I would do.
Drivers heading down pit road now. We may see a conflict of strategy. Leaders come down into their pit stalls now. Now, we were saying how you might take... the O2 slides through his pit box completely, and the 25 has to drive around him, and he's going to have to back into his pit stall. We were saying how there might be a difference in strategy. We might see that here. Guys deciding, the 25 decides to take 4 tires, and the battle off pit road, it's going to be the 19 and the 85 coming off pit road as our leaders decide to have a really long pit stop. I don't know what's going on with the 72. He's still in his pit stall. So he's maybe deciding to go to the end of the line. Looks like he's in his pit box all the way. Doesn't look like he overshot. And now he's going to leave his pit stall. So unsure what the plan was there. He finds himself near the end of the field. Was our leader coming down pit road. But our battle off pit road leaves us with the 19 and the 85, Nick.
Yeah, I think that was just the 72 wanting to go to the end of the line there. That'd be my best guess is, not a bad plan with how crazy things have been in this lead pack over the first 33 laps here.
We were saying how the opening of this race was kind of chaotic, and it went a little calmer throughout this race, but this caution is going to bunch everybody up again. And if this guy's actually finally do a restart correctly and have a full pack, we could see a lot of action. The closest thing we saw to a big pack was about 15 cars, and even then they were still kind of spread out a lot. This could give an opportunity for these guys to really get bunched up and to see what could happen. The 19 decides to come down pit road again and top off his tank.
Yeah, it looks like he's trying to play the fuel strategy game here. Again, not 100% sure what the fuel window would be, but definitely already seeing some strategy this early into the race. That could really prove how close these guys are on fuel. And if this goes green the rest of the way, things could definitely get a little bit spicy towards the end.
It's Christian Leonard in his pit stall deciding to top off. These guys under caution for the first time here tonight, over a fourth of the way, in this race. The 85 now, your provisional leader, and he's going to be the one to take the green flag once we get restarted once again. iRacing Pace Car lights are off. I'm the host of your tonight's race, Alexander Valderas, joined in the booth by Nick Steen. Been a great race to have you alongside, Nick. What are some points that we could see going into this restart?
Well, with this restart in general, we're just going to be seeing a lot calmer of a restart. I would of course expect that, seeing as how crazy things got when these guys started to get a little bit squirrely coming off the corners. And of course we saw a couple of wrecks, mainly coming off of turn 4 and coming out of the tri-oval. We'll have to see how that plays into it, but for now I'm expecting these guys to kind of calm down, and I don't want to say they're going to single file out, but they're definitely going to spread out a little bit and not push as aggressively.
That's one thing we saw earlier throughout this race. These guys decided to spread out and take out the first part of the race a little more conservative than probably I would have. And these guys are going to be stacked up one more time for another restart. Lap 34 going to lap 35. Going to see the field. Oh, and they're going to extend the yellow. As the piece
third. Yeah, looking like it's some more wave arounds trying to get some of these guys back on the lead lap. That's going to be Leif Madsen, and I didn't catch who else that was. 7 Hawthorne are going to be coming back around. 7, of course, we saw spinning out of the tri-oval down into the pit exit wall. Glad to see that his car is back okay and he's going again.
So, pace car lights out, and wave arounds are taken care of. These guys are going to top off again, and that might be a good strategy to get themselves to the end of the race.
Yeah, that once again proves that I think these guys are a lot closer on fuel than we first thought. And That makes me think that these guys are shooting for about 35-ish laps a stint, which should put these guys at a, do some quick math here, a 2-stop. But for now, just waiting for these guys to get back going again. Is we've seen a pretty crazy race so far. We saw a couple of spins a little bit earlier in the race. A couple of guys going down to the inside wall. We saw the 14 and I believe it was the 57, 14 being Philip. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his last name. And then Brandon Devine head down into the inside wall. Of course, the 14 of Philip still going. He is 3 laps down, but the 57 of Brandon Devine is still, he is officially retired, 15 laps down. But a very, very entertaining race so far for Daytona standards. We're usually used to seeing a lot of crazy stuff happen here, but for right now, it's been very, very calm and very, very momentum dependent as these guys are just rolling through turns 3 and 4 now, waiting to make that slow crawl towards the restart zone here and get this thing back going on lap 35 at 120. Still waiting here as lights are in the pace car are out, so we should be seeing green flag racing here. And a lot of these guys choosing to come down and top off again is gonna mean that there is only going to be 4 cars side by side for this restart, and that's going to be because a lot of these guys took the EOL for having to come down pit road and top off once again. But for now, we're going to be green flag racing once again as the 85 and the 27 are going to lead to the green. 27 is going to beat the 85 through the line. 85 being Justin Noel and Colin Grayson, the 27 on the outside line. And a lot of these guys are already heading up to the outside as Colin Grace is being pushed by Matt Haas in that 8 machine, with the only help behind them being Pierce Cron in the 02 on that outside line. And of course, here comes I believe that's the 99 of Christian Barker. That's going to be your outside line, everyone else being on the inside. So we should see this inside line take over very, very quickly here as they head down into turn 3. Justin Noel still leading that inside line with the 27 of Colin Grace on the outside. That outside has more numbers here as the 02 of Pierce Crone has some help from the 5 machine right behind him. That is Kyle Manger. And very even now between the 2 lines as it looks like almost a dead even split for the lines is the 5. Oh man. 5 of Kyle Manger getting a little bit loose heading into turn 1. He's going to keep it straight though, but that's going to hurt the momentum of this outside line. The inside line, though, splitting up a little bit. That's going to be someone dropping back. I believe that is the 13 of Sam Bolin. He's going to drop back to the back of this field as Matt Haas is now going to drop to the inside. He's going to be the pusher of the 27, and they're going to be 3 wide for 3rd place is the 02 and the 85. 02 of Pierce Crone and the 85 of Justin Noel making a little bit of contact. Still 3 wide here. Things are getting a little bit tight off of turn 4. But for now, Pierce Crone, he's going to fall back down to the inside line, and that's going to allow the inside line to overtake and clear about 2 or 3 cars on the outside as the 5 of Kyle Manger is still trying everything he can to get back even with the leaders heading through turns 1 and 2. Outside line coming back once again with the 72 pushing the 5. Kyle Manger leading the outside with Indy Cassie pushing everything it's worth out of that 5 machine. The 99 of Christian Barker trying to get back up and give a little bit of a help, a little bit of a boost to that outside. But for now, the numbers have died off for the outside, and the 5 and the 72 get separated a little bit off of turn 4. It's going to allow the 27 of Colin Grace. I think they're going to give that lap to Kyle Manger they were tied at the line. Tied down to the 1,000th of a second, 0.000 at the line between your 2 leaders. That's just how close it can get at Daytona. Coming off of turn 2, that outside line is going to get a pretty good run here, but they're going to get a little bit squirrely. That's going to allow that inside to stay clear of the outside. It looks like the 99 may be trying to go 3 wide for just a moment, and he is going to get sent 3 wide. That's the 51, John Bawalda, leaving the 99 out to dry. That outside line is going to pull back here a little bit as they're waiting on help from the 91. It looks like this lead pack here of about 8 or 9 cars starting to pull a little bit of a gap right now. Kyle Manger still being pushed by the 72 of Indy Cassie. They're going to have a pretty good run coming off of turn number 2. Kyle Manger trying to get ahead of that inside line, but Colin Grace and Matt Haas are just hooked up on that inside. Not much you can do to separate a line when they're as hooked up as the 27 and the 8 are, but the 72 Indy Cassie trying everything to get that 5 up into the lead, and it's going to be another close race to the line. Who are they going to give lap number 42? It looks like it's going to be the 5 of Kyle Manger by 63 thousandths of a second there. That outside line still trying to get formed up a little bit as the 02 is going to get a little bit squirrely. Pierce Crone getting a little bit squirrely heading through turns 1 and 2, but still that outside line has the advantage as the Matt Haas is going to fall back a little bit. Looks like he's going to drop out of this pack. Doesn't like what he sees. He's going to head to the back of the longest line for now. And that's going to allow that inside line to get clear. And the 72 Indy Cassie and Kyle Manger, they're going to drop to the inside, and they're going to lead this inside. That's going to leave the 02 of Pierce Crone out to drive, but he's going to have the 99 of Christian Barker as help on that outside.
And already seeing some massive moves here back at the front of this field. Now, the inside lane getting reformed once again. That outside lane trying to get reformed. The 02 and the 99. Oh, the 99 hits the wall. And that outside lane is going to fall back drastically.
Things getting a little bit sketchy here. These guys have been racing like it's the last lap for about the last 5 laps now. Things are getting absolutely wild, but it looks like a 4-car breakaway before the 02 hops down. Still a 4-car breakaway on the inside heading into turn 3.
Yeah, these guys making extremely aggressive moves on lap 42 out of 120. Not even halfway yet, and these guys are deciding it's go time. Now, the outside lane trying to get reformed. Everybody is scrambling around, and it doesn't look like anyone is really strong on that top side lane. They need to get reformed, and they need to get pushed in here if they want a chance to get the lead.
Yeah, that outside is gaining in numbers. It's about 6 cars now. I don't think that's enough to get back up, but as I say that, here comes the 27 of Colin Grace on that outside. He wants the lead once again, and he's got the 91 of John Buwalda behind him, or excuse me, the 51 of John Buwalda pushing him on the outside. It's going to allow the 86 to get back up to him. That's Eugenio Alonso. That's going to be their help with the 99 right behind him of Christian Barker.
That outside lane finally deciding it's going to be go time. These guys are now trying to get lined up again, and they're going to be 3 wide. And right now, I want to know what the plan is, because these guys clearly do not have the same plan as I would in my head. They're all over the racetrack, and they're taking every chance and every run they have to get to the lead. But I think one key thing they need to realize is, maybe instead of racing for myself, if I help this guy in front of me, we could get to the lead together.
Yeah, they're trying to get up to the lead, but they got that unbreakable duo of Indy Cassie and Kyle Manger on that inside line. These guys have been pushing each other. They went from about 5th or 6th on the outside, or leading the outside about 5th or 6th position, up to leading this inside line. These two are definitely the class of the field for right now for this current run. Kind of like we saw a couple of drivers earlier being the 25 and the 19 pushing earlier in the race.
One thing I'm starting to worry about is that these guys jump out of line to take a look at what's going on in front of them. That could lead to a massive crash if these guys are doing it for 3rd. So I would say try and get with somebody who's at the front of the field who can see what's going on and has a clearer picture, and talk to them to see what's going on instead of peeping or half a car like as the 02 decides it's getting too chaotic at the front. He's going to drop to the back of the field. That inside line, though, everyone seems to be chilling from about 10th on back. They're just going to ride in line and kind of see what happens. Lap 45 out of 120. About almost getting to halfway through this fuel run. So a chaotic restart leads us to where we are now. Multiple lanes being used, riding on with Pierce Crone. He's overseeing all of this action here at the back of the pack. And he's got a good view of what's going on in front of him, and seeing what kind of crazy moves these guys are going to make. This has been the definition of a wild race here at Daytona, the 2.5-mile super speedway. These guys wasting no time at all to make some moves whenever they feel it's go time.
Yeah, this is when I see things getting as crazy as they are right now. I'd like to have the view Pierce Corona's having right now, just sitting at the back of the field waiting for these guys to junk it up. And the way that these guys have been moving around, especially on that outside line, I don't think we're very far from it happening. As the 27, Colin Grace, they're moving around a lot on that outside line.
Yeah, these guys on the outside are looking to be strong, but they just need to get together. That's all they really need to bring the fight to that inside lane. If they can get hooked up and they can get pushing, this is going to be a key moment for these guys to jump up to the front of the field. But now that help that they had looks to go to the bottom. So if they want to really make a chance to go for the lead, they need to figure it out. And it looks like that they have. These three guys at the front are looking to take the lead away.
Yeah, that's going to be the 51, John Bawalda, with the 27 of Colin Grace behind him. They've been pushing fairly well on that outside, but not as good as that inside line, the 72 of Indy Cassie and Kyle Menger. Those two have been almost the class of the field. They've been putting on a clinic when it comes to pushing. They've been able to take pretty much any line that they want and take them to the front, and that just seems to be what they're doing right now. They seem to be kind of chilling out, waiting for the momentum to come from that outside line before they start pushing again. But if I were in this field racing right now, is they're actually going to drop to the back. Indy Cassie and Kyle Menger falling back to the back of the field.
So after leading for a good majority of this stint, if not all of it, they're going to drop back, deciding that even though we're 1-2 at the front of this field, it's getting a little chaotic for us, so we're going to go to the back. One thing I would like to touch base on is I think these guys may have a plan. Fuel strategy is something that's going to go through these minds eventually. And they've been leading this whole time. If they want to stretch out their fuel tanks a little bit, they're going to go to the back and ride around. So this could be a great strategy call, as they're going to go almost 3 wide for second place.
Yeah, field strategy is of utmost importance. Many people don't think that field strategy is such a big deal at a plate track, but knowing from firsthand experience, field strategy can be what wins you a plate race. And going back right now to save a little bit of fuel is going to help you a lot in the long run, because that can allow you, if you're sitting back in the pack running about half throttle, you could save almost a lap of fuel, and that could be the difference between making the end of this race and not making the end of this race.
Staying with the pack and being in the right strategy, race winning strategy, is going to be key, as John Bawalda is going to go to the front of the field once again, lead that lap. And that inside lane has kind of broken up a little bit, but that pushing is still strong, keeping those two at the front of the field. That outside lane now starting to drop back a little bit. Guys realizing that we're kind of getting in the range of when we may need to start thinking of coming down pit road, kind of trying to get with everybody worked out what time they might all pit if we get green flag pit stops.
We should be hitting green flag pit stops, barring another caution, but just a matter of when it's going to happen, as we're seeing people starting to jockey, trying to get single filed here. Looks like people are starting to realize, as you said, they're realizing, okay, we need to start settling down here, get some fuel mileage coming up, and kind of click some laps off here. We see this a lot in real racing. Guys just trying to click the laps off, just run more laps and get closer and closer to the end. Because once we get to the end, that's where we're going to see all the action, of course, as we know. Just everything happening at the end is, oh, I believe they're wrecking in the back.
Could have a wreck in the back of the pack. Caution is not called out just yet. 5 of the 72. As we've got one car in the grass next to the pit exit cone. That's Life Madsen in the 77. It's going to find its way back on the track. We're going to get you a replay to see what happened. And now he ended up in the grass. Stand by for one. And so we're going to look for an instant replay here. Whoa, as you see, already, as soon as we look at it, he's already half sideways and sliding around and has to cut through the grass. So it's interesting to cut back to. So that could have been a push gone the wrong way. Nick, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that was just a push gone the wrong ways. He's going to have struggles getting on the pit road here. Gets on nice and clean, but not the way that you want your pit strategy to play out there, spinning off of turn 2 as he did, and that's going to put an early end to this fuel run for that 77 of Life Madsen, sorry.
So the 77 down pit road, but the 51 still your leader. That outside lane trying to get worked up again, and it looks like they might have enough cars to challenge that bottom lane, and they're pushing pretty hard up front. That 15 looking all squirrely from a push from the 27. But these guys looking to try and make some moves, but it's still the 51 out front with the 86 in tow.
And we're seeing that, I believe that's that leader of the outside line. I can't quite catch the number. 15 of Richard Knight, excuse me. We're seeing him come down really aggressively and kind of side draft that inside line. That's one thing that we don't see much of in the Xfinity car, side drafting, but if you know how to do it, it is a very, very powerful tool. And basically what that does is that's putting air on the rear spoiler of the car that you're side drafting, and that's going to drag them back. That's basically going to put a ton of air on that rear spoiler and add a ton of drag and bring their speed down. But that 15 has lost all of his help. He's just going to try to hop into the inside line now.
Well, going on to the rest of this race, lap 54 out of 120. Now, we've seen some very close and tight racing along with side drafting, as you mentioned. These guys are going to try and get that top lane to work still. That 5 and that 72 who are leading most of this race and most of this run find themselves at the tail end of this pack. But that could really help them when it comes to fuel strategy. If we don't have a yellow that comes out here soon enough, they're going to be looking real peachy when it comes to the rest of this guys and numbers.
Yeah, it looks like everyone's starting to calm down a little bit, play the fuel strategy game. Of course, right when we say that, usually things will pick up. Looking at some of the weather here, air temperature sitting at 76 degrees Fahrenheit with the track temp sitting at 79. Very cool night for Daytona Beach standards, so we'll see if that plays into the handling. We're looking at a lot of loose race cars.
And you were saying how see if the weather might just affect the handling as the 14 comes off pit road. Usually, extremely or exceedingly high track temps and air temps can really make those rear tires and the rest of the tires hot and just make the car slide around. Well, one thing that could contribute to sliding around is cold tires. Now, to our standards, if you were to touch this tire, you'd probably burn your hand, but it could be that these guys aren't getting enough heat in the tire to actually grip the racetrack as well, or be in that optimal tire temperature window for these guys to really be strong around the track. And that could be a reason why they're sliding around, but in me personally, I think it's just the nature of the Xfinity car.
Yeah, it's definitely a big factor. It's just the nature of how the Xfinity car drives, but it's definitely a part of the tire operating window being a certain range that these guys just aren't able to get with how much cooler this track is compared to what we're used to, say, in like a July date race that we're used to with the Xfinity cars. And these guys just not able to, oh man, 15, Richard Knight sitting at 3 wide on Colin Brown. Wow, what a move.
A lot of these guys, again, taking risks, as I thought they would get a little calmer coming to the possible nearing of the opening of the pit window, but it looks like they're all trying to decide whether they want to go top or bottom. That bottom lane still looks to be the most dominant lane we've seen here tonight, but we have seen that top side work. These guys getting all together, and they're going to go to see if they make it to top side work. They need to work a little stronger on that outside lane if they want to get it to work. Here comes the 02, and he'll go to the top. I think he's dropping back. He's going to work together with the 15. As I was saying, that these guys need to be pushing each other. Here comes that chance, and they actually could make it work.
Yeah, again, this is that 200-mile-an-hour game of chess, just shuffling around, trying to figure out.
Whoa, the 15! The 15 absolutely sideways. You could see the flames come out the exhaust. He was off the gas trying to get it saved, and it looks like he will, but now that 99 almost put 3 wide to 8, not leaving any room for him to join back on the bottom. That 02 going to have to lay a bumper to him to keep that outside lane working. Now, we've seen the 8 car in this pack, and now he's going to try and go to the lead as we've got a lap car in the picture. That's the 14. Where will he go to try and see if he can get out of the way of these leaders? He's going to hold the top. And and the rest of the field looking to try and get around him. He is almost riding the wall, and it looks like they will. So no issues passing the lap car. Lap 59 out of 120. Nick, what do you think is strategy right now?
Right now, it's just trying to get this fuel tank as far as it'll go. As I said earlier, we're seeing a lot of shuffling around right now, trying to find what line is best. And that goes back to that 200-mile-an-hour game of chess I was talking about earlier. And these guys, as I said, just shuffling around a lot. That's kind of what's hurting the momentum. But right now, we're seeing that outside line come back up. As the O2 and the 15 are going to get back up into the lead pack, and the O2 is going to head down to the bottom.
No, the 99 gets turned. The 99 hard into the outside wall gets turned by the 15, a near miss by the 72. And that was a hard lick.
Wow. That was a big time wreck. I think that was a failed side draft from the 15 there. Just turned into a huge wreck and a ton of near misses in the back.
Going to take another look at it here. The O2 still your leader. The 15 comes down the track and tries to get an aggressive side draft, and that turns into the most aggressive wreck we've seen in this race. And the 15 and the 99 are junked. They have to use one of their two fast repairs that they've been given. Taking another look at it now, we'll just see the 15 is not expecting it to be that much off the yellow line, and the reaction from the rest of the field, try to avoid it, and looks like he will. The 5 going at the 72, great miss.
Yeah, just a push gone wrong there is exactly what that turned into, and that's how fast things can go sideways, especially at Daytona, and just unfortunate there, but it looks like both of them will use their fast repairs and get back on track here.
Well, we've seen these guys racing side by side, and we've mentioned them enough, but you know what we haven't mentioned? Some of the people that make this all possible. We're going to come back after a short commercial break, taking the time to thank the guys who really make this happen. We'll see you after the break.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, we're back live. Well, we're back live on Maconi Entertainment. And pit road is going to be full of guys. Now, the 8 deciding to stay out, the 02 and the 86. A lot of these guys choosing to stay out, and it's a little bit of a head scratcher for me, as I would have taken the opportunity to come pit, but we've got a few different guys on a different strategy. Now, this could come out to be the race winning strategy, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, staying out here is a interesting call to say the least, but maybe these guys saved enough fuel to kind of stretch a few more laps. Of course, the fuel window could be a lot longer than we originally thought. Again, I'm still trying to figure out what the fuel window actually is for these cars, so once I figure that out, I will let you know, but staying out for a few people at the front of the field, we'll have to see how that plays out.
Yeah, definitely an interesting strategy call to say the least. But the 8 now is going to be our leader. That's Haas out front. The 02 going to line up just on his side. Pace car lights are out, meaning we will go green this time by. So definitely an interesting call. So he's clutching it to save gas. And how do you think that'll work out as far as strategy-wise, Nick?
As we get closer and closer to the end of the race, yeah, that, clutching in will work. That'll save a ton of fuel, which tells me he's trying to stretch this as long as he can. As we're over the halfway point now, this should be, I believe, if we do get green flags at stops, it should be a 1 or 2 stop race. So Matt Haas trying everything he can to save as much fuel as possible in that 8 machine.
So not only just clutching it, is also going on the apron to shorten the distance around this track. But the lights are back on the pace cars. We're going to get a few wave arounds. Doesn't look like anybody is going to take it, as the 02 decides to chop down, and more people decide to cut down and top off their fuel tanks. So they're going to go to the tail end of the field. So an interesting strategy call, but we've seen this happen just the last caution.
Yeah, people coming down to top it off with fuel, get it packed as full of fuel as possible, and get that extra couple tenths of a lap, which could mean so much when it comes to fuel mileage and how far you're able to go. I'm seeing a lot of people that were running up front, trying to get as much fuel in. Of course, that only adds to the speculation of how close these guys actually are when it comes to fuel.
We've certainly got a few more fuel runs left to do, but if you do all of your calculations now and take all of your saving needs and everything you could do to try and prevent running out at the end of the race, that could really be strong for you now. So getting it done early could be a possibility of what we might see these guys do out front. But definitely a lot of bold and different strategies we're seeing here at the front of this field.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag. We're not really used to seeing this many mixed bag of strategies at plate tracks. We're more used to seeing this at 1.5 miles and other tracks, especially other fuel mileage tracks like Michigan and Pocono. So it adds a little bit of a quote-unquote wrench into the game of how things are going to work here. And I'm honestly just sitting back waiting to see how this is all going to play out here.
Looking at the Bucky's car of Haas, he's currently our leader over the 72 of Casey. And lap 63 out of 120, just over halfway. They've got another half or another leg of this race still left to go, as Barney is ever ready with the green flag. The pace car going to make its dive down pit road, and the field is going to get ready to take the green. A lot of the drivers choosing to go to the bottom, and we're green away from Daytona. Already off to an interesting start, that second lane, already deciding that we're going to fall back in line. No one really excited about that outside lane or trying to get it to work. The 72 looking like he might go. But right now he's just following the tail of the 86 who had a great start. It sits, the 72 goes out. That's Casey trying to take the lead away on the top. Back again with the drafting partner of the 5.
Trying to get connected once again on that outside. We saw these two pushing like it was going out of style on that outside, and they were able to get up to the lead. The 5 is going to hook up with the 72 of Indy Cassie, and they're going to get going on that outside line. They have a little bit of help. That's the 99 machine right behind them, trying to get up there. The 99 being, see the 99 on my scoring.
So The 8 and the 72. Wow, and we still saw a mirror of the 86 and the 5 get loose while pushing. That was a mirror image. These two, oh my God, they're in sync right now as we go down the back.
That's the 99 to Christian Barker. Apologies about that. He's trying to get back up on that outside line, but we just see these two pushing for everything it's worth on that outside, running that seam that is the preferred line. Being right on that seam, we're going to see the 72 dip down a little bit, trying to get a little bit of side draft on that inside line. They're still going to be hooked up coming off of turn 4, and here comes a little bit of help to give them a big push of momentum that they need to get up. As the 72 of Indy Cassie is going to be even with Matt Haas. Matt Haas trying to go up to side draft, but it looks like the 72 of Indy Cassie is going to clear the 8 heading into turn 1.
These guys actually getting that second lane to get ready and get strong could give them an opportunity to jump up, as here comes a block from the 8. We almost haven't seen a block all race. That seems to be the first one that comes to mind right now. But these guys getting aggressive here on lap 66.
Things are already picking up here as aggression levels start to pick up. We are over the halfway mark, so these guys are starting to feel like they're getting closer and closer to the end of this thing. That outside line still trying everything it can to get up even. We've seen Matt Haas throw a couple of blocks. Will he continue to throw blocks? As Alonso's going to rack out of the tri-oval.
And it's going to be a pile up. It's the big one at Daytona. These guys all pile into the wreck, and that's an insane wreck.
I told you at the beginning of the race, if not when the big one strikes, or excuse me, when, not if the big one strikes, and it strikes on lap 67.
That was an absolutely huge wreck. The first one we've seen of the night. And it looks like just strong side drafting for the 72 gets him again, and the entire rest of the field stacks up into the wreck. The 5 spinning like a top in the infield. And these guys getting aggressive here early on. 67 out of 120, still over a half of the race to go. And here's what can come out of that. You know, we were talking about not if, when the big one was going to strike, and we just saw it just out of the tri-oval.
Yeah, that took a lot of good cars out, but there is fast repairs. Everyone has 2 fast repairs in this race, but a lot of drivers that were involved in that wreck have already used it they've definitely used 1, if not 2 of their fast repairs already, so a lot of cars could have been taken out with this wreck.
Yeah, and that could lead a lot of these guys to be done for the night. And so that's interesting to see. We've got a lot of guys with a lot of damage. That was definitely one of the biggest wrecks out of this field we've seen so far. So the big one, the first big one of the season. See if we can get a chat with anybody. Well, could get a chat with Leif Madsen of the number 77. Mr. Leif Madsen, you join us here in the Maconi Entertainment booth. Now that we were talking about how it wasn't if the big one struck, it was when. Give us a rundown on how that wreck played out.
I mean, basically everyone was on the outside, and I just got really lucky and just pulled on the inside, and I cannot believe I missed it.
That was definitely one of the biggest wrecks we've seen almost all race, and so far it's the biggest wreck of the season. So that took out at least, I'm going to say, about 8 cars. Have you heard anybody say what's going on with them over the radio so far? So give some insight on the driver's thoughts.
It just sounds like someone maybe got loose and got a little bit bodied there, and really it just seems like a racing incident really at the end of the day.
So strategy going to come down to fuels, not really much of tires being used here at a plate track. Lap 69 out of 120 currently. How does it look fuel-wise?
Definitely need to stop again. I was kind of considering doing it now, but I'm going to see if I can get maybe another yellow a little closer to the end and try to get a little bit of track position.
So fuel saving, it could be a fuel race if another caution doesn't come out. That's a little bit of wishful thinking, but so far, how do you think this race has been for you?
So far, so good. I mean, the fact that I got on the apron and lost it pretty early in the race and got waved around a few times and pretty much got back to the lead here. I'm pretty happy.
Well, so far a good recovery drive from you and a good way to come back to the front of the field. Thank you so much for being with us, and hopefully the rest of your race goes well.
Thank you.
So that was the 77 of Leif Madsen there in the third position. So far, a good enough recovery drive from him ends him up. And I believe he will be the leader when the lights go out on the pace car. And, you know, Nick, he was mentioning how fuel strategy is going to come down to it. We're going to probably restart on lap 71 coming to 72. If these guys save enough during the run, do you think they could try and stretch it out to the end?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a one-stop from here with what we think the fuel may be. So we'll see some guys probably drop to the back here and save a little bit of fuel in the process. We're seeing a few people now looking like they want to come down pit road and top it off one more time before they go green. But yeah, we're definitely going to see people drop back and try to save as much fuel as they can and try to turn this into a one-stop race to finish us off with as we're coming to 50 laps to go.
So here comes Leif Madsen. Said he was going to see if he could try and stretch it out, but right now comes for a top-off, and he's going to end up leaving pit road at nearing the tail end of the field. So once again, for the third caution in a row, the person who was in the lead is not going to be in the lead, and we're going to have a new leader out front right now. After these guys come off of pit road, going to take a look at it here. And 51, not a new leader, but one we've seen at the front is John Pawalda. He's going to end up at the front of the field along with the 02 and the 85. So these guys been at the front pretty much almost this whole race. Apart from parts where the 72 and the 5 were really bleeding that inside lane. Lap 70 out of 120 pace car lights are still on. So everyone's still single file and lining up behind it after a few guys decided to top off. Going to be an interesting race strategy-wise. Nick, what do you think after the one stop could happen with these guys?
Well, we're down to the one stop left in the race, so when it comes down to strategy, it's seeing if you have enough fuel after that final pit stop for any possible green-white checkered. So if we do get another caution between now and the end of the race, we'll see some people come down, top it off, and then as soon as they come off of pit road, they're going to be full fuel saving mode, trying to save as much fuel as they can in order to prepare, for, so to speak, for a green-white checkered, because we've seen it both on iRacing and in real life. People have not had the best luck with green-white checkers when they need to fuel save. They've been taken out of races because of green-white checkers and not having enough fuel to make it through a green-white checkered. So we're going to have to see people just kind of save as much as they can.
And talking about saving, another group of guys comes in to top off. And now we've got a completely different second row. Now the 85 of Knoll and Haas move up to the first and second row respectively. And now the pace car lights are off, and these guys are going to get ready to go green at the end of this lap.
Yeah, I'm hoping these guys will calm down a little bit and try to log some laps here with 50 laps to go, or excuse me, 49 laps to go. But every time that I say that, we've seen things get absolutely wild with this lead pack, and right now, with 1 to green and a lot of people coming down to top off fuel as much as possible, we're going to be seeing only 2 cars being double file with everyone else being single file. So be interested to see what line has the momentum coming to the green here.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the most interesting starts we've had all race. Going to go green, lap 71 coming to lap 72. So that's going to leave us with just about 50 laps left. We're going to take a dive into our sponsors, get a thanks to everyone who makes this all possible. So we thank you guys for tuning in and watching us here. We're going to start off by thanking Maconi Setup Shops, the official setup shop of eNASCAR. and the setups that they provide. If you want to be able to be at the front of your races, whether it be open or fixed, go to Maconi Setup Shop for more information about how you could lead the field. And thank you all to Maconi Entertainment, who make this all possible for the viewers at home to be able to watch racing just like this. The pace car going to make its dive down pit road. No one choosing the top. We've seen this almost every restart. No one decides to go to the top, and I'm a bit baffled as to why. Green flag back out here at Daytona. They're going to cross the line, and it's lap 72 out of 120. And that second line going to try and get reformed. That 5, strong believer that that's going to work. And we're already starting to get spread out once again, but the O2's not going to let that happen. He's going to jump up to that outside lane, and now the 5 is going to work with him. And they're going to try and get to the front.
This reminds me of the old restarts before we had the double file restarts back in 2004 and before that. Just the single file restarts, not really having any lines forming. Outside line trying everything it can to get formed up, but the O2 is going to get left out to dry by the 5. He's going to get in front of the 19 car there, and it's just going to be single file throughout the rest of the field.
So saying that the O2 wasn't strong enough, they're going to actually just switch positions now. The 5 comes up to the top. And now if I was the O2 realizing I had been left out by this guy, you know, I would give him equal treatment, but if I'm really trying to go for the front, I'd put our differences aside and see if I could push him to the front of this field.
Colin Grace is going to hop up into that outside line as well, and that 27 mint green machine, he's going to come up to the 5 and try to give him a little bit of help. Looks like they're going to get hooked up, but looks like the 5 may have wanted to go down and side draft a little bit. Here comes the 77 of Life Madsen, the 5 of Kyle Menger. He's going to drop down into the inside, and that's going to put him up on the rear end of the 8 car, Matt Haas. Matt Haas is going to hop up to the top line, and he's going to leave John Buwalda out to dry.
Now John Buwalda having help from that 5 car on the inside lane, getting up to his bumper. And that's one thing we've seen all night. They get up to the bumper, they tab the bumper, and then they back off. But if you really want to be able to lead any line you want, you have to be good at just laying on the bumper. Or lay on it and stay on it. And stay on it he does. Stays on the gas, comes the 5. He's going to be able to go to the lead with the 8 in tow, and that's what exactly I was talking about. Laying on the bumper for almost the entire back straightaway gets the 5 to the lead.
Ooh, and the 51 and John Buwalda wanted to go up to the top, but Life Madsen, he had the run and he wasn't able to get or allow the 51 up in front. The 51's going to go to the top. They're going to be 3 wide for second position here. The 51 on top of the 85 of Justin Noel, who's on top of the 8 of Matt Haas, and the 5 car, Kyle Menger. He's just watching this chaos unfold behind him.
So I believe that's the 3rd time we've seen 3 wide tonight, and it came in an interesting fashion. A move I didn't think could work may give the 85 the lead. Currently fighting with the 5 for the lead. That 51 really giving it all, giving his all of his push to the 5 and laying on the bumper. That's exactly what you want to see on that outside lane to keep it up, keep it fast, and keep it strong compared to that inside lane. I believe this is the first time we've seen all of these guys really all together as one big pack.
Yeah, Matt Haas is definitely proving himself as one of the better pushers in this league, as he's been able to push a lot of these lines and keep them going. But another one that's been really good is the 72 of Indy Cassie. He's been pushing that 5 car all night long. The 5 car of Kyle Menger has also been leading a lot of this race, as well as John Buwalda is trying everything he can to get Kyle Menger back into the lead, as the 8 car of Matt Haas is going to drop to the back here.
As he's going to decide that it's too much in the front of the field. The 51 goes for the lead. He's going to go high. He's going to go low. And he's going to be constantly blocked by the 5. But here comes Life Madsen on that outside lane. He's going to try and work with the 27 and see if he can go to the lead once again. But now still out front right now, the 85 and the 51 still pushing. And give it to the 5. He's going to be the leader crossing the stripe. as these guys still trying to work it out and settle their differences in that second line. And it doesn't look like they're going to be all that together. They've got help and they've got numbers. But right now what they're doing, splitting at 3, isn't the best decision.
Yeah, but it is the 72 of Indy Cassie trying to get things going. That's going to put Indy Cassie in second position on that outside line. And we've seen how well the 72 of Indy Cassie can push. We'll have to see if that gets that outside line a shot of juice that it needs to get back up to the front. As John Buwalda looks like he's going to try to hop up onto the outside and get a little momentum going, as there's a car on the wall back there. The 99 of Christian Barker, he got up into the wall for just a moment there.
Yeah, these guys racing really, really aggressively, taking all the chances that they can get. Leading that outside lane is Kyle Maker with John Buwalda in the 51, giving him a push. The 19 of Christian Leonard trying to make it work with Justin Noel on the inside lane. Backs off all the way. And it doesn't look like it's going to work out in that long end. Now, Kyle Manger going to be able, almost clear was the 51 of John Buwalda. Not quite so clear as the 85's on his inside, Justin Noel. As he's going to try and fight his way back to the lead. Now, Kyle still out front, leading that inside lane. That outside lane wants to make a charge for the lead.
Kyle Menger leading the inside line. He is just looking for his teammate, the 72 of Indy Cassie, who is third on that outside line. He's going to send the 77 3 wide. That's Life Madsen 3 wide in the middle there. As a 5 of Kyle. Oh my goodness, things are getting close here for this lead. It is within almost 40 laps to go. These guys are already saying it's go time with 40 to go.
Things getting heated at the front of the field. The 72 back in the picture. These guys, and they're going to door each other going through the tri-oval as we were going to start lap 80. These guys are really racing aggressive here at the front. These guys are wasting no time at all.
John Buwalda still leading that outside line with the 72 of Indy Cassie right behind him. That's going to give this outside line a shot of juice, as we know that 72 of Indy Cassie is a very, very good pusher. But that inside line has the 5 of Kyle Major pushing the 85 of Justin Noel. That's going to keep these two very, very even through turns 3 and 4. John Buwalda and Indy Cassie are separated, and that's going to allow Kyle Major to clear the outside line. Will he move up to try and get hooked up with his teammate in the 72? For now, John Buwalda tries to come down, but the 19 says no.
And one thing we'd like to say yes to is we'd like to say yes and a thank you to the guys who put this on. The Touring Kart Championship, founded in 2021 to sanction competitive go-kart races and expand the karting community, finds themselves being able to host league races here tonight. Regularly hosts rental kart sprint and endurance races alongside the Northeast Karting Challenge. Competes at tracks such as Raceway Park, United Karting, and Trackhouse Motorplex, formerly GoPro Motorplex, as well as indoor and outdoor venues. For more information, visit www.tourkartchampionship.com and register to compete. Again, that's www.touringkartchampionship to compete. And a battle out front. As we've got some Doring going down onto the grass is the 4. And he's going to be able to save it now behind the 14. He was able to save it after being doored not only down to the apron, but down to the grass. He avoided that pit road exit, and I believe he's going to be able to get away scot-free without a black flag. Going to take a look at it again. Taking a look at what happened to the 4, the 51. Now the 27 comes down and doors him, and excellent car control to not lose it through the grass. iRacing having new grass physics. So where if you hit the grass wrong, you could do a grip flip. And as we were saying, the field is trying to dive the 14 hard into the outside wall. Not going to be a caution. We stay green. The 14 gonna park it in the grass. Not been a good race for him.
I was just getting ready to say, as we went to that replay, there was almost another wreck on the backstretch of that lap, and they somehow managed to save it, but the 14, just an unlucky bystander in that. and he's going to bring that thing down pit road. I'm pretty sure he's used both of his fast repairs already, so that could be night over for the 14 machine.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Used all the fast repairs that he has leading up to this moment where he finds himself down on pit road and out for the night. Lap 83 coming to 84 out of 120, and these guys are getting real racy here at the front of this field.
Yeah, things are already getting crazy. Just imagine what it's going to be like at the end of this thing. They're single filed out now, it looks like, but at the back of the field, we have teammates hooked up, the 72 and the 5. They're going to try to make a move back towards the front after almost wrecking a couple of laps ago. But for now, everyone else still single file. Look at the run they have on the outside. Wow.
These two guys were pushing a ton earlier, and these guys are great buddies when it comes to pushing. These guys, look at the run they have, building up that speed on that outside lane. And now Kyle knows that he needs to stay on the bumper of Indy KC. He's going to be trying to push him all throughout the corner, and now the 99 jumps up as well. So this outside line getting formed up more than ever, trying to take a battle for the lead. Coming to lap 85 out of 120. What seeming to be a long race with the laps winding down as we've got a block at the front of the field. The 99 just barely taps the wall.
That block was by the 51 of John Buwalda. That's going to allow the 85 of Justin Noel to lead the inside line. John Buwalda going down to side draft a little bit. That's going to allow the outside line to get a good run going here. The 99 of Christian Barker. He's going to be pushing the 51 for everything it's worth, and that's going to send the 51 back down to the inside. And the 5 of Kyle Menger sends it 3 wide through the middle, and he's going to get to the lead of the outside line.
And what a fantastic move to move him up to the lead of that outside line. He's kind of stuck, though. He has no help directly behind him. But the 85 gets Buwalda loose, and they're going to be able to try and get some help there on the top and see if they can pass the 51. This is the closest lead battle we've seen in a minute. These two lanes look so even, you could just put a piece of paper between these guys. That's how close they're racing. 35 laps to go.
Give that lap to John Buwalda. He leads that lap as the 5 of Kyle Menger's trying to get any help he can from the 99 behind him. The 99 seems a little bit out of control, but he gets back up to the rear bumper and gives a little bit of an air bubble push to the 5. The 5 goes down to side draft to 85 of Justin Noel. That's going to suck that 85 off the 51 of John Buwalda, but the teammates are hooked up again on the outside. We'll see if they can get that lap going again.
Yeah, that was a great push from Indy KC to move 5 back up, trying to get back up to that lead, side drafting super aggressively as I believe they touch. Now, coming into the just a handful of laps to go. I mean, we still got a ways to go. Just about the last quarter of this race still left to go. Kyle Major has had a great race so far. Started 17th, is now up to 3rd. Now fighting for the lead, has a phenomenal push to the rear end of that 5 by the 72. And he's going to look to take the lead away from Buwalda.
Kyle Manger and the 72 of Indy KC, they're trying everything they can to get back up. Look at this. This is the 15 car of Richard Knight. We saw him in the wall earlier this race, and he's already back up here, 3rd in line on the outside, trying everything he can to get this outside line going once again. Here comes the 99 of Christian Barker as more help on that outside line as this outside line is getting going again. Kyle Manger and John Buwalda are even through turns 1 and 2. Coming off the exit, that outside line will get the run. Will they have a huge push and a huge run? Yes, they will. Kyle Manger is going to take the lead heading into turn 3 with a huge push from Indy KC.
You know, and one thing that I thought to mention that these guys need to remember is that what the fate of the 15 was earlier this race, side drafting too aggressively and hard into the outside wall, costing him a fast repair. Speaking of him, he's moved up to 3rd on the outside lane. But side drafting that aggressively is good and can get you further out through this field, but you have to be careful of what it could lead to.
Kyle Manger officially back.
Oh, and the 15 goes down the track, and that's going to be a 3-car wreck in the back. 02 is destroyed. The 15, I was just talking about him, how he had come up from his previous incident, and that's going to bring the caution out with 32 laps to go. That was
Absolutely
an insane
massive
wreck. I mean, that was insane. The 15 goes down the track. The 85, I didn't see that, up in the air.
Absolutely massive wreck, and that was a bad push on the 15. I believe the 99 may have given him a risky push there going into turn 1, and that sent the 15 around. Just a horrendous wreck there.
I mean, that was an insane wreck. That's the second biggest wreck we've seen all race. And another hellacious lick for the 15. Takes another fast repair and is going to get himself back out on track. That was his last fast repair. That one we know is as a cat, as they have 9 lives. The 15 has 3, and he's on his last life right now.
Richard Knight has been up front, and we'll have to see if he can get back up there. He looked like he was helping the 5 and the 72 of Kyle Manger and Andy Cassie, respectively, very well on that outside, but then things got sideways very, very quickly for the 15.
Lap 31 laps to go here in tonight's race at Daytona International Speedway. Going to take a bit of time off to really just appreciate the guys who help us put this on. We're going to catch you guys after the break.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Bringing it to you live again with 30 laps to go. We're bringing you back to the TKC National Series here at Daytona for the season opener. Pace car lights still on, and the rest of the field going to get a little change up as they went down pit road. The 27 of Grace is your leader over Casey, Alonso, Leonard, and Guinness. He's going to find himself leading, I think, for the first time here tonight.
Colin Grace has led a few laps tonight, but he hasn't been at the front as much as he would like. 27 machine, he's definitely been very, very fast tonight. And he has the fast car. Will he be able to get to the end? We've seen the 72 of Indy Cassie and the 5 excuse me, sorry, I hit my push to talk on accident. We've seen the 72 of Indy Cassie and 5 of Kyle Manger work together very well. I wonder if he'll get up with those two and be able to work together and get things going for this inside line, because we've really seen that outside line be the most powerful tonight.
That inside line has been the most dominant we've seen here tonight, but now this outside lane actually has competition. So this is, I think, the last time that they had to come in and take fuel to really make sure that they're set for the 3 green-white checkers we have. These car lights are out. Hopefully we won't need to use those green-white checkers because the racing so far has been really tight, but really, really clean. Apart from just a few mistakes, these guys have actually been really clean throughout this race, and it could lead to a clean finish. The 27 and the 72 share the front row as the pace car lights are out, getting ready to go green here again at Daytona International Speedway here in Daytona, Florida, where it's been a quite calm day for the weather, leading to just an overcast race. But these guys sure haven't overcasted that kind of gloominess on tonight's race, as it's been a barn burner for the first race of the TKC National Series season. These guys, the pace car, are going to come down pit road, getting ready to get green once again. Barney with the green flag. And through the restart zone they go. We're green again from Daytona. Wasting no time on the start is that 27. They're going to get stacked up, but they're all going to go back to the bottom again. The 86 has jumped up. Alonso now makes his position behind Grace. Hits the apron a couple times, and here comes the 25. He hasn't led since the beginning of the race. Back with his pushing buddy of the 19. They're going to try and make a move for the lead. Here comes the 86 in the back bumper of the 27. These lanes are going to be really, really even going into turn number 3, but that 19 has been a phenomenal pusher to the back of that 25. We're going to see what happens as they come out of 4.
That's Jake Innes and Christian Leonard. We saw these guys pushing each other for everything it was worth earlier, as the 19 is going to get a little bit loose off of 4. He's going to get connected once again to the 25 of Jake Innes. You have the 4 best cars on the outside line lined up, 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll have to see if these guys kind of play it civilly as the 19 and the 25 head down to the inside. That's going to put Jake Innes as the overall leader on the inside with his pushing buddy Christian Leonard, but this is going to allow Indy Cassie and Kyle Manger on that outside line to get going once again. We've seen how good these guys are at pushing each other, heading down the back straightaway. Indy Cassie's going to get even with the 25 of Jake Innes, and that's actually going to put the 72 ahead by a nose heading into turn 3.
We've got the 2 strongest pushing combos leading the 2 lines. This is about as strong as you could make it. These guys have been pushing each other almost the whole race. They're well acquainted with each other. They know what they can do. They know what the outcome that they could have. So these guys are going to be as strong as ever. Coming into the picture on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen is the 15 as a lap car. He's going to go high as multiple lane changes happening, but these guys so far are going to make it away cleanly. No incidents to report when passing the lap car, the 15, and he's going to actually have a chance to slot in line as he gets some help from the 99. But out front right now is the people we've seen almost all race. The 25, 72, 19, and 5. These guys have been at the head of the field almost the entire race. We saw these guys at the beginning, didn't see them much through the middle, but now they've come back with a vengeance with about 25 laps to go. These guys are going to try and fight for the lead as hard as they can.
Indy Cassie, Jake Innes leading both lines with their 2 best pushing buddies right behind them. Will this end up with these 4 at the front? Who knows? But we know these guys are definitely the fastest cars in the field right now. The 51 of John Buwalda trying to get up to the 5 of Kyle Manger, trying to give that outside line any help that he can. And here he comes with a pretty good run. He's going to give an air bubble push to the 5. Will that get him back up onto the 72? No, it won't, as that inside line is going to get clear of the 72. Will they hop up? No, it looks like they're going to stay on the bottom, as here comes the 18 of 7 Hawthorne trying to give a little bit of help, as the 27 of Colin Grace is going to get a little bit loose, a little bit further back in the field. John Buwalda tries to go to the inside, but Colin Grace was there. That's going to shuffle things up a little bit on that inside line. That's going to allow that outside to get back up even, as they're going to try to go 3 wide for just a moment. The 99 of Christian Barker wanting to go 3 wide on John Buwalda, but he decided better of it this late into the race with just over 20 laps to go.
And right you are. The fighting at the front of this field is getting as aggressive as it has ever been. These guys have really flipped on the afterburner, and they're deciding that now is go time more than ever. They're taking every opportunity they can to get to the front of the field. And one thing we know for certain at Daytona is that leads don't last. So the 25 may be sitting pretty right now, but come to the end of this race, that might not be the case. A lot of these guys already started to get tandem up together, trying to get these lines packed in as close as possible. The 51 he tries to get to the back bumper of the 5 to keep this top 3 on that outside lane packed up nice and close together. That's going to give them the best opportunity to try and make a move on that bottom lane.
Some of the last time you've seen the top 3 all within a single tenth of each other, as Jake Innes, Indy Cassie, and Christian Leonard were all within a tenth of each other, with Christian Leonard being 7/700ths of a second off the lead. I don't think I've ever seen a race that's been with the top 3 that close to each other. But then again, this is Daytona, so you should expect nothing less.
And these guys still aggressive as ever. Now the side drafting from the 5, we were mentioning it earlier, and as a tail as the 15, aggressive side drafting can improve your position, but it can also lead to disaster. The 5 has been really on the fence about that, and he has been able to get as close as we've seen side drafting wise without making contact. And he's been actually up to the front and been using that side draft as a key integral move to get to the front of the field with 22 laps to go.
We've seen the 18 sideways on the apron, pulling a Kyle Busch, trying to save it, and he does. What a save there. But as I was saying, that 5, he is side drafting, and we've seen what can happen when side drafting goes wrong. But that 5 has put on a masterclass. But that's 7 Hawthorne, who was pulling a Kyle Busch on the apron there, trying to save it, while simultaneously being on the apron. What a save for the 18.
An absolutely incredible save for the 18. He's going to be out of the pack, unfortunately, but at least he doesn't have a junked race car. The 25 getting a push from the 19, still leads that inside lane, but Kyle in that 5, he has been laying it to the back bumper of the 72, and he has been trying his best to get that outside lane to be more powerful. It's just extremely difficult because the inside line has that help altogether. But now here comes back the 51 of Bualva. He's going to try and lay the back bumper to the 5. These guys wiggling all about, wasting no time at all. And the 72 still peeping his nose out front, but by the exit of the corner, that 25 will have retaken the spot at the front of the field. But now they got a 3-car tandem on the top, going to try and get that outside lane stronger than ever, trying to get it to work as greatest as possible. That 25 and that 19, though, has been the best drafting pack we've seen tonight.
Yeah, 1,000th of a second separating the 72 and the 25 at the last timing loop. But for right now, it looks like that inside line tandem has the momentum as they're getting a little bit squirrely in the back. John Bualda drops to the inside line, and that's going to give a lot of help to that inside. That takes away from the outside as well, but they're going to get separated a little bit on the inside. A lot of scrambling around further back in the field. It's going to allow Indy Cassie and the 72 to get even with the 19 of Christian Leonard. Coming off of turn 2, the 5-car Kyle Menger trying everything he can to get hooked up with the 72 of Indy Cassie. Coming off the corner, Indy Cassie is going to have the run, and down the back straightaway is going to be even with the 19 of Christian Leonard.
These guys at the front of the field have been racing for these guys have been racing side by side for longer than we've really seen all race. So with fuel out of the picture, these guys aren't as careful. And there goes the 51 down to the inside. He's going to hit the wall hard. And as I was saying, clobbered the left front into the wall. And with wheel damage, he's on the grass trying to get back on the track. And I think his best bet might be to just tow it to pit lane, considering how close he is. But he's going to try and wrangle it around the entire racetrack. We're going to get a replay to see what happened. We were just talking about how tight the racing is up front. And he goes from that outside lane now down to the bottom. And he was trying to help them advance their position, trying to maintain that level of performance that they had on the bottom to keep themselves ahead of that high side lane. As we're going to see what happened here. Oh, and a little bit of net code, but he's going to slide up into the 5 and hard contact with the wall as he's going to jump the car up in the air, and that's not going to be so good for him as he's still trying to make his way back to pit road. But right now, it's still out front in the 25, 19 and 72. Inns, Leonard, and Casey as the 5 goes for a little bit of a wiggle around that rear end going down the back. He's going to try and get to the back bumper of that 72. Keep what they've been going through this whole time, keeping that outside lane as strong, but right now it looks like they're fading back just a little bit.
That outside line was almost even with the inside, but it seems to have fallen off a little bit as the 27 has gotten back up to the 8 car of Matt Haas, and that's allowed this inside line to form up again as Eugenio Alonso is about the only help the 5 of Kyle Menger and the 72 of Indy Cassie have on that outside until they get formed up a little bit. But as I say that, here comes Indy Cassie on the outside, having a lot of momentum from pushing from Kyle Menger. They're going to get hooked up again on the outside line here, and they're going to get to moving once again, but they're still only even with the 19 of Christian Leonard. And unfortunately, that's not going to get it done when it comes to Daytona and pushing for Indy Cassie.
Right you are. These guys at the front trying to make it work. But still, that inside lane proves to be the dominant lane. And as I'm saying that, here comes Cassie in the 72 on that outside lane, getting a strong push from the 5. They just don't have all the help they need really to get to that front of the field. If they want to get that extra bit of speed they need to clear the 25.
Momentum still with the inside, but that outside line is coming. They have the help. They almost have the numbers. It's a 5v5 for who has more momentum as the 99 of Christian Barker. He's going to drop to the inside, give the numbers advantage to the inside, and they're going to come with a huge head of steam heading down through turn 3. But here comes Indy Cassie with a big push from Kyle Menger. They're going to try to get a little bit even. It's going to get a little bit tight. Matt Haas trying to go up and side draft a little bit. Gets a little bit tighter than expected through 3 and 4. Coming to the finish line. Indy Cassie trying to get back up even. They're even once again with the second place car. Christian Leonard heading down into turn 1.
Yeah, these guys, and one thing we touched base on earlier is that temps are also going to be a crucial thing to keep in check. The 19 has done an excellent job as the 18 falls back through the field. Interesting strategy with just a handful of laps to go. But one thing we were talking about earlier is temperature. Oil and water temperature are key to have enough temp to push the guy. You have to be a good pusher and a good person to manage your temperature. A crucial thing to be able to push for long periods of time, and that's something that the 19 and the 5 have been really good at all race.
Yeah, with the temps, especially the oil temp is the one you really have to keep an eye on because that's going to determine whether or not your engine will blow. The red zone for oil temp is going to be 285 degrees Fahrenheit. And as long as you keep it below that, you'll be able to push for a good while. But these guys are going to have to shoot for about 240-ish, 250 to be able to push for an entire lap without having to worry about blowing up. So as we get later and later into this race, closer and closer to that lap 120 mark, we will see guys start to back off and start to manage their temps. And we're already seeing that happen as Kyle Menger was not really pushing the 72 of Indy Cassie as much. Going down the backstretch there. It looks like they're trying to save
the 27.
27. Wow, Colin Gray saving it somehow. But that's going to hurt this inside line, though. They're going to fall back big time here. Kyle Menger and Indy Cassie on the outside line. They're going to get even once again. They have not been even for almost 5 laps now.
What a save for the 27. I mean, that is peak car control right there. Enough to realize that he wants to stay with these guys, so he's going to stay completely on the gas, but that was incredible car control to keep it straight and not wreck or destroy it. But that 19 is going to land the bumper to the 25 and keeping him out front. That 86 just in tow. Close enough, though, that it almost acts as an aero push where you're not actually making contact, but there's a little barrier of air that is going along with you and acting almost as an invisible bumper to the back of that 19, giving them enough speed to maintain an advantage over that outside lane.
Yeah, but that inside line is wiggling a lot. The 19 of Christian Leonard has been moving around a lot over the last lap or so. Eugenio Alonso trying everything he can to keep to the back end of that 19 and keep this inside line going. That outside line really doesn't have the help, or else they'd be leading this race right now. As long as that outside line can get organized, they should have the upper hand in this battle, but right now that inside line's holding strong. Indy Cassie now even with the 25 of Jake Ennis. They haven't been even for a while, but now they are. Indy Cassie, Jake Ennis coming off of turn 4, and we have a caution on the racetrack.
Yellow is out, and that's going to spice things up. A lot of these guys having to back off in this front pack. A little confused, as we're going to try and see what that caution was for, as we're unsure.
I'm showing that may have been an admin caution. I'm unsure as to why that caution came out. Could have been for the 14 of Philip Drabczynski, who dropped due to download packet loss, so it looks like it may have been a caution due to internet issues. I'm not 100% sure about that, though.
So, still unsure as what brought out the yellow flag here with just 10 laps to go. As we can't really see. We're going to get, as we get word, we're going to let the viewers know what's going on. But once again, under yellow from Daytona. And we're going to get a word with one of the drivers here at the front of this field, Jake Ennis. Nick, I'm going to hand it off to you.
Jake Ennis, next time up in the booth. We've seen you've been leading a lot of the majority of the inside line here. Do you think you'll be able to keep the momentum up required to win this race, or do you think that duo on the outside of Indy Cassie and Kyle Menger will be able to get up even with you guys again?
I don't know. It's been pretty much even the entire run. My buddy Christian Leonard has been trying his hardest to help me and keep me out front, but the 72 and the 5 are really our biggest challenge as of now. As we get to this restart here, we don't know if it's going to be 3 wide or we're going to be tamed here, but it's not looking good for us as of the aggression that we're going to face here, but we're going to hope that we could bring home 2 clean race cars tonight.
Well, we notice one of your sponsors being the Red Mist Podcast. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So the Red Mist Podcast is one of my friends' podcasts on Spotify. I think he does his podcast around late Tuesday nights, early Wednesday mornings, around that time frame. They talk all motorsports, and they're a great group to listen to. So if anyone here is looking to listen to a podcast, they're perfect fit if you like motorsports.
Well, we'll go ahead and let you get back up into your team channel and just see how this race is going to play out. Good luck to you for the rest of the race, and we hope to be talking to you here in about 8 laps.
Thank you.
Well, that's been the recent leader of Jake Ennis in the 25. Still first place, has led 23 laps all the race. With about 9 laps to go left in this race. Kind of a phantom caution. Still no word from the admins of what the true reason was. So you join us here on Maconi Entertainment. My name is Alexander Balderas, and next to me is Nick Steen. Nick, it's been a fantastic race being side by side with you so far. What do you think is going to come out of this caution?
Well, I mean, we've seen a ton of wild racing so far, a ton of wild pushing as well. I expect that not to change one bit. I only expect things to get a lot crazier and a lot more aggressive, as we're just going to see people taking runs whenever they get them. We're within 8 laps to go here, or coming to 8 laps to go right now, and it's only going to get crazier and crazier from here, I think.
Yeah, these guys are going to try and get aggressive even more than what we've seen. So maybe we haven't even seen the peak aggression of this field. Who knows, leading this caution, winding down the laps very slowly, still no official word. But as all of this, coming close to the end of this one, we're going to let you guys know on what we have coming up next week. Next week is going to be another phenomenal race. Week 2 at Rockingham, October 23rd at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The next TKC National Series race It's going to be a great one there at Thunder Alley. Don't miss it. Week 2 at Rockingham coming up next week, October 23rd at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Coming back to the live racing, temperatures still the same as far as air and track temp, and the lead pack still really the same as well. These guys been pushing hard and being aggressive for the rest of this. One thing that is kind of cool to see is the partners that were the drafting partners are going to remain the drafting partners when the field lines up. So the 72 and the 5 will be lined up, and the 25 and the 19 will be lined up. Interesting to see how that start's going to go.
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot more of the same. That outside line trying to gain any momentum it can, while the inside line is just kind of holding steady. That's been the downfall of the outside line for the last, I would say, 30 or 40 laps. They just haven't been able to get any help going and any momentum going, and that's just allowed them to only get up even with about the 19 of Christian Leonard. So we'll have to see if things change here, but looks like a couple people maybe coming down pit road, a little bit short on fuel. We see the second and fourth, Indy Cassie and Kyle Menger coming down pit road.
Now, that's an interesting strategy I did not see coming. So that could really just prove how close these guys are on fuel. Or they could just be coming in to have enough fuel for the green and white checkered. Still unbeknownst to me of what the strategy will entail and how much fuel that they will take. But it's going to be an interesting one once the battle off pit road commences.
Be interested to see how this plays out. Maybe the 72 getting some repairs done. Sitting there for a while. Yeah, it looks like the 72 may be getting repairs done, and the 5's just going to sit here and wait and stick with his teammate. What to see? Yeah, I think this may be a repairs pit stop. I think that 72 may be out of fast repairs.
Yeah, a lot of these guys probably out of their fast repairs by now. A lot of the incidents we've seen weren't real. We haven't seen like a lot of wrecks, but we've seen wrecks that get a lot of the field involved. So a lot of these guys are going to have to take their fast repair if they want to remain competitive out front.
We've just eclipsed the 2-hour mark of this race. Actually, just kidding. We're coming up on the 2-hour mark of this race. Jake Ennis, still your leader, with Christian Leonard being his main help when it comes to pushing, sitting up in second position. But these two right here, the 5 and the 72, those are going to be what we're going to have to keep our eye on as we're going to watch them come through the field. We have seen those guys go from the back to the front, to the back to the front, to the back to the front multiple times this race. And that's going to be the story of the race.
Going from the back of the field to the front definitely is one of the biggest things and biggest keys we've seen all race. But one thing that's going to throw this race off, the drafting partners are going to be side by side when the field takes the green flag. 7 coming to 6 laps to go here in Daytona. The leaders are going to be green. That 25 car getting a phenomenal jump now, leaving his drafting partner to deal with the scraps of the field. That 86 lined up with that 18. He's going to take the run on the bottom, and now it looks like the 25 searching for his help. And he's going to get it in the 18. He's going to lay the bumper down, and he's going to pass the 86 again. So the inside lane falling back a little bit. Here comes the 8 to go 3 wide down the back with 6 laps to go.
Matt sending it 3 wide there, knowing that he is here to play again. We've seen him go to the back a couple of times, but he is here to play now. That outside line trying to stay formed up. Again, a little bit squirrely, but it looks like that inside line just does not have the help it needs to keep even with that outside. Leading that second pack, though, is the 5 and the 72. They're a pretty good ways off this pack, but it seems like they're catching very, very quickly.
Right you are. These guys on the top using that outside lane work. The drafting partners are still not up to their sides, but the 18 is acting just like the 19 was and getting a good push there to the 25. And the rest of this field is a little more spread out. 5 laps to go, going down the back straightaway. And these guys have decided that just to be sure another caution doesn't come out, they're going to use that high side lane That inside lane has to be extremely strong, and here comes the 8. Although I don't see that move working out so well, unless he has help. And a lot of these guys going to the top, and here comes the 19. Gonna almost door the 8 as they're getting wiggly throughout the entire field, almost 3 wide. As that inside lane tries to make something out of nothing. Gonna do their best to cut through the field. But still, out front with 4 laps to go is the 25.
25 still out front. A little bit further back, we see the 5 and the 72. They're on that outside line, 4th and 5th respectively. We'll see if they make a move here. 3 laps to go as we're on board with Matt Haas. 4 laps to go as we're on board with Matt Haas making a huge run here. He's going to get to the inside of the 25. Put Matt Haas even with the 25 machine. That is going to be Jake Ennis on the 25. We'll have to see where this plays out, but for right now, Jake Ennis, Matt Haas side by side coming up to the line. Go ahead and give that lap to Jake Ennis in the 25. We'll have to see if anyone behind this pack decides to make a move or if they're going to sit and wait for the momentum to build. But for now, Jake Ennis and the 18 to 7 Hawthorne are leading the outside line and leading this race.
Still out front, that top side lane lined up with the 18 is the 25. Been the leader here for about the last 30 laps. Here comes the 5 and the 72. They're going to be 3 wide for 3 rows. The 02 lined up behind the 72. And the 5 leading the charge on that third lane. They're going to get squirrely in the middle. That 8 car with the 27 in tow tries to make it work on that inside lane. And the 25 gets squirrely. Great car control coming off of 4.
Almost a little bit of contact there, but they keep it straight. The 25 of Jake Ennis is still going to be leading that outside line. Oh, man, Matt Haas almost spins on the inside. The 27 of Colin Grace gives him a little bit of a bump that he did not like, but they keep it straight. Getting sent 3 wide is going to be the 4 of Kevin Aguilar. He is going to be getting sent to the back of this pack as everyone's just trying to jockey for position here with 2 laps to go heading down the back stretch.
Heading down the back stretch, there comes the 18. He's in tow with the 19, and then the 5 behind it, Kyle pushing. He knows what he needs to do if he wants to win this race. The 72 in tow with him coming out of 4, coming to the white flag. The 25, Ennis now, who has led the last 30 laps on the line that he's not that used to when it comes to pushing with the 18. He's going to lead that lap. Maconi Entertainment, white flag as we go into turns 1 and 2 for the final time. The 27 gets a little loose, and he's going to save it again. Incredible car control as they are still 3 wide. The 25 has to block 2 lanes, and he gets out of it alive. He's now got his drafting buddy behind him, but so does the 5. The 5 looks low, looks high. He's got the 72 behind him. Now the 18 looks to the low side. Here comes the 18. He's going to be side by side with the 25, and he gets split through the middle. Leonard now trying to make the move coming off of turn number 4. They're going to be 3 wide. They're going to be 2 wide, 3 wide. Give it to the 18. Almost gets hooked at the line. The 18 comes home with the victory at Daytona with a terrible crash at the line. Kevin Hawthorne is victorious in Florida. Oh, Stephen Hawthorne, sorry.
What a finish there. 7 Hawthorne coming away with the win. Christian Leonard, Kyle Manger, and Jake Ennis all finishing within a 1/10 of a second of each other. That's just how close things can get at Daytona.
That was an absolutely incredible finish. These guys raced 120 laps for it to be decided by that close of a margin. That was incredible.
Oh, man, I got to take a breath after that. Whew.
All right, you are. We're going to watch him burn it down after he takes the first checkered flag of the TKC National Series season. He's going to come home in victory lane at Daytona, and he's going to burn it down. Hawthorne comes home victorious from Florida. Congratulating Hawthorne on coming away with the win. Let's take a look at the results from tonight's race here at Daytona International Speedway. Going to get the results up on your screen in a moment. Let's take a look back to reflect on what was an amazing race. Nick, any final thoughts?
I mean, just a absolutely crazy race. We saw a ton of big wrecks, especially coming to the finish. Just a massive wreck after the finish. A lot of cars that got taken out there, but we got our final results up here. Why don't you take us through them?
National Series first result, 7. Hawthorne comes home with the win over Christian Leonard in the 19. Kyle Manger and Jake Innes, who had led the final 30 laps, but as the popular saying goes, leads in Daytona don't last, and his lasted about until the last time around the track. Indy Casey and Eugene Alonso come home in 5th and 6th. Matt Haas and Kevin Aguilar in 7th and 8th, respectively. Justin Noel and Pierce Crone in 10th rounds out the top 10.
Leif Madsen's in the 77 machine is going to come home 11th with Colin Grace in 12th. Richard Knight is going to claim 13th position with Christian Barker in 14th. John Bawalda is going to be the first car that does not finish on the lead lap. He's going to finish 4 laps down in 15th. Philippe Drabczynski, I think that's how you say that, is going to finish 16th, and he is going to be the first car that does not finish this race. Sam Boland in the 17th position. He's going to finish 52 laps down with Brandon Devine in the 18th, 102 laps down. Alex Penn in 19th, 121 laps down with Wyatt Smith in 20th, 121 laps down as well.
Well, after a fantastic race, we're going to see who we can talk to. Well, as it stands right now, we can talk to the man of the 5, Kyle Manger, in the 5, who did tonight's race. I believe he came home in 5th. Phenomenal race from him. Let's get a chat with him. Kyle, you're in the Maconi Entertainment booth. Good finish from you in the end and great pushing there with the 27. Your thoughts about tonight's race?
Yeah, it was a fun race for first league race of the year. You know, everything kind of worked out. I thought it was a clean race, definitely long, but we made it there to the end. Yeah, it was good to have my teammate there, Indy. We worked really well together. So, you know, we had to make a late run through the field, but yeah, top 3 for the night, wanted to win. But it's tough to get yourself in a spot at the right time. So it is what it is, and we'll take the good points and, you know, go to Rockingham next week.
Well, it's an absolutely incredible finish from you to come home in 3rd. You led 21 laps. That's something to take home in the books. Great race from you and your teammate. You guys were looking to be one of the strongest drafting partners throughout the entire race. You guys were leading up front for a long, long time, having a great race overall. Is there anyone else you'd like to thank or would like to give thanks to?
Yeah, just thanks to the Maconi guys here and everyone at Matt and Mateo at Touring Kart. That's a cool partnership. Looking forward to you know, trying to grow this thing and see where we go from here.
All right, well, thank you so much, and congratulations on your incredible finish tonight in 3rd. So close to the win. Thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate it. Have a good night.
That was the voice of Kyle Manger in the 7. Looks like we've got, the 5. And then that gives a spoiler to the next guy we're going to talk to, which is 7. Nick, why don't you hand it off?
7 Hawthorne, your winner tonight. How are you doing? That was an absolutely wild last lap. How did you come away with that?
I have no idea. We had so many up and downs in the race. I first crashed it on the apron in the trial, but it just started rear steering on me. Then avoided a whole bunch of wrecks and had that other incident where we almost went out and saved it, lost the draft. I thought my race was over, but I was working with the 19 there in J24 and Codine, and we just got hooked up, and the seas parted for us. I mean, it couldn't be a better ending for us.
You can't write a better story than that, winning on the last lap there. I mean, how were you feeling throughout the race? We saw you pull a Kyle Busch on the apron at one point in this race and somehow managed to save it while being on the apron. And it comes out with you winning this race. Before we let you go, is there anyone you got to thank that helps you get it done every week? Because that was an absolutely wild race.
Yeah, I want to thank the 19 car. I mean, me and him, you know, from racing in our leagues to mountain car, which is always, and even iRacing, which has always worked super well together at play tracks, no matter what game it is. So I knew when I had him behind me, I knew I was going to be in great shape there. And great racing there with Jake. He had every opportunity to block me to the apron, but he held his line. So very thankful for that.
Well, looking ahead to next week, we head to our first short track in Rockingham Speedway, or I guess you could consider it a short track. How are you feeling headed into that race, knowing it is such a difficult track?
I would have to buy Rockingham for next week, but if I do buy it, I will definitely it'll take some of the pressure off, knowing that we got to win. You know, I mean, main thing in here, I mean, Pim texted me and asked me to join this league, and I was kind of intimidated by all the high I rating and all that. So to come in here and win and show everyone that even though we're 2,000 I rated behind, we can still win races is really great. So whatever next race be for us, we're going to roll in there with confidence and just do our best, like always.
Well, congratulations on the win tonight, Seven, and we hope to see you next week at Rockingham, and if we don't, we'll see you at the next race, and we hope you do just as good.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys.
And that was the voice of your race winner, Seven Hawthorne, who came home with a win. A very close finish here tonight. Do you think... I'm not sure if we have second place. Nick, do you think there's anyone else you'd like to talk to?
No, we do not have second place, unfortunately, in the interview room, and I think that's everyone we could talk to tonight. I think everyone else has disconnected from the race and or the server, so we'll have to...
So, after a phenomenal race here in Daytona, we saw a great season opener. We saw a lot of side-by-side racing. We saw wrecks. We even saw the big one, and that one was the biggest wreck of the season so far, in the biggest race of the season so far. So, Nick, coming home with a great race in Daytona Beach, Florida. Give us your final thoughts on tonight's action here at the Super Speedway.
I mean, it was your typical play race. You had a ton of side-by-side racing, a lot of side drafting, a lot of bump drafting. Of course, the wrecks. We had 2 or 3 slightly big ones, and then we had the big one there towards the middle of the race. That's a lot of good race cars. Forced a lot of guys to use their fast repairs. So I would say that was your typical plate race. Just, you know, everything you would expect coming to Daytona with the Xfinity cars. We got a lot of it tonight.
Yeah, and right you are. We saw a lot of great and close racing here from Daytona International Speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida. Next, the TKC League is week 2 at Rockingham for 99 laps Monday, October 23rd at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you to the race sponsor, Maconi Setup Shop, and to TKC National Series for letting us be here and broadcasting this great league. Partner, the Touring Kart Championship. Calling the action tonight was myself, Alexander Valderas, alongside Nick Steen in the booth with DJ Lion producing. Thank you for all of our viewers for watching tonight's racing action, and hope you stay tuned for all of our social media pages for our next race. Thanks to the entire staff to work at bringing this production and racing to all of you at home. This has been a production of Maconi Entertainment. We'll see you at the next checkered flag.